So, my dear friends, we come to fasting and abstinence. Fasting and abstinence are the important elements in the Lenten season, one of the 7 ways in which we keep up the Lenten season. What is fasting? Fasting is very simple. You don't take food, you don't take drink. It's a spiritual discipline which we reduce the intake of our food for a specific time or a specific purpose. It could be medicinal, when you go to the doctor, perhaps sometimes one day you have to take a blood check. They say fasting is important so that we see your blood when you are fasting or when you are eating. More than health-wise, fasting is also a spiritual discipline. A discipline by which we say that we don't depend on food alone. That beautiful saying of Jesus, man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes out from the mouth of God. So therefore fasting is important for us. And we see in Bible so many times fasting is referred to. I give small instances. Judges 20:26. Judges 20:26. And the fasting is prescribed for one day to seek the direction from the Lord. Fasting can be 1 day, 3 days, 7 days. In the case of Jesus, he fasted for 40 days, we are told. And David himself fasted for a week or so because his child was sick, and he prayed to God in order that God may heal his child. We also have a beautiful saying about fasting in the Gospel, Matthew chapter 6, verse 16 to 18. And fasting is not just an exercise by which we try to exhibit our spirituality to the others, but something that fulfills our soul and pleases God. And therefore Jesus tells his disciples, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that you do not appear to be fasting, but your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Beautiful. Many of us perhaps we do some fasting. In these days fasting has been so much reduced even for our Christians. Or just on Good Friday and Ash Wednesday we fast, but that also we take breakfast in the morning, we can take a little in the afternoon, little in the evening. There is no fast at all. But there are many people who fast. I know in Bangalore there are many people who fast on every Friday. And therefore Jesus tells us that this fasting is which God the Father sees in secret will surely bless you. There is no need of making an exhibition of this fasting. So also abstinence. What is abstinence? Abstinence is also perhaps another discipline of the church by which we enforce self-enforced restraint, as it were, from indulging in bodily activities that are widely experienced as giving pleasure or enjoyable. There are certain things that give us enjoyment or pleasure. Perhaps for some people it may be drinks, for some people it may be a smoking, for some people perhaps just sort of whiling away your time in luxuries. And therefore abstinence is that part where we try to reduce what's called the pleasurable part, so that we mortify our bodies and sanctify our souls. The Bible has enough examples about abstinence. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 21 says, St. Paul tells his disciples to refrain from impurity, sexual sin and debauchery. Normally abstinence refers to abstinence from certain things that are pleasurable, as I said, maybe from sex, alcohol, drugs, food, etc. In 2 Timothy, St. Paul advises his followers, especially the youth, he advises them to pursue self-righteousness and keep the purity of heart. Acts 15:20, the Gentiles, when they are converted, are requested certain exercises that are given to them, perhaps not very difficult, but the reading tells us abstain from food polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from meat of strangled animals, and from blood. Colossians chapter 3 verse 5, put to death whatever belongs to earthly nature. Abstinence refers to the earthly nature. Sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and also greed. So this is abstinence and fasting, abstinence and fasting, that perhaps will not only renew our sense of penance in the season of Lent, but also purify us and make us worthy before God.